I mean, as we were saying earlier, one of the growth areas is disaster management, emergency planning. There's been a lot written recently on the role of the incident manager, the police incident manager, the role of partners working in a coordinating group to deal with emergencies. And what it's really saying is, if you don't understand social media, if you think you can ignore it, then think again, because it is changing the rules. And incident managers need to be aware. So again, it's back to this, giving information out every 3 or 4 hours it's just not good enough anymore, because that information will be finding its way out there through the public, and 9 times out of 10 it will be accurate. And how silly does that make us look when 2 or 3 hours later we're telling people what they already know, and in fact things have moved on. So we're starting to look dated and behind the times. What kind of message does that give out in terms of our control, our professionalism, etc., etc. So the game changing elements of this stuff's quite powerful. Google People Finder, I think it's called, really does challenge the ability of the police traditionally to have that casualty bureau function, to be the holder of all the kind of knowledge on that, to release information when we're happy and we've got things. To an extent, that stuff's now happening in a very informal way through social networking, facilitated by big global organisations like Google, and that's probably going to grow. So we need to find a way of, I think, working with that. And and yes, there is a threat, but we need to try and understand what the threats are, work with these large organisations and with the public to mitigate threats, but see where we can exploit new technology, new ways of communicating, so that we can, again, add value. But it's really important, and you mentioned on Twitter the 999 hashtag, but some really good blogs on that site that are really worth reading if you are an incident commander, because some of the stuff there is really important. But it very much talks about the role of social networking being intertwined in that emergency planning and disaster management environment. So your understanding has to be upped. So again, it's just a plea I would make to particularly those in the more senior ranks who feel they can just ignore this stuff. Just be aware, and nobody has to be an expert. I am not an expert. There's loads on Facebook and Twitter that I don't understand. I don't need to know huge amounts of detail. What I need to understand is the powerful networks that operate and the value that you can get from just being plugged into these networks.